In general, it's a very pleasant listen. But what are they even talking about? Here's Ella, 50 years old, talking about wons and yens and dollars. Maybe YG misunderstands why people liked Blackpink. Just because you grew up wearing all these hoodies and feeling like a gangsta, that doesn't mean that's the culture that your audience actually wants. But here I'm going to start the inevitable comparison with Baby Monster. Hello guys, this is Juneri. I'm an artist developer and producer, and today I'm going to watch Meow's Meow.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Meow.
You up sundown singing that old chic. Now you speak French talking about we. Tu me coûtes tant, tu nous rolling. My talking is a kiss, suck it burning. We make 'em. We're my girls, we gon' shake some. We don't run, we don't chase some. Turn it up, hear that bass drum. Ones and yens and dollars. Come on, come on, come on. I'm a mug of butter, I can do it all night. It look easy, don't it? Make 'em all tongue tied, 낙하던 사라. 바로 여기 접수, we own it.
Alright, so that was Meow. It's gonna take a little of time to get used to their name because it's written Meow, but it's actually pronounced Meow. So in any case, after watching this, I have quite a few positive things to say, but I also think I'm gonna have to say a few negative things, which are gonna be the usual stuff I'm saying for this kind of songs if you have been watching my reviews in general. So to start with the positives, we have 5 girls that are clearly at a good level for being in this K-pop group and debuting. Of course, YG, the black label, which is YG, has taken care of them to give them all they need so they can appear and perform really nicely. I really like that, unlike most new girl groups that have debuted these days, most of the members in this girl group are actually adults. Ella, of course, is 15. I've been following actually Ella for a while, and I wouldn't say exactly that I'm surprised to see her in a K-pop group. Time will show whether Ella or the rest of the girls anyways are competitive enough to make this group relevant. Of course, with YG's funding, it's very unlikely that it wouldn't happen and that the girls wouldn't develop a solid fan base. So the music video, you can see they brought a lot of people here and dressed the set and give it a lot of color and extra vibe. It's like they're celebrating their debut. The general presence is quite nice, but here I'm going to start the inevitable comparison with Baby Monster. Why? Because they're so similar in style, the song as well, which is after all YG. YG, they're doing the same thing again and again. They have this style since 21 or even before, then Blackpink, then Baby Monster, then here is Meow. And we're gonna discuss later if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So back to the comparison, do these girls look as confident as Baby Monster did in their debut? No way, they're not even close. If you take out all the money and know-how that YG did put in this music video and in this song, I don't think these girls are at the same level that the Baby Monster were, for example, in their debut. That doesn't mean these girls don't have the skill and what it takes to actually raise into a very big fame. Why do I say that? You can actually see in their expressions. They're not that strong and convincing as Baby Monsters. It's clear that the director is still telling them, hey, can you do that? Let's do it again, let's do it again, let's do it again. You can take this shot, for example, and if you were to take it out of context, what are these girls are doing exactly here? They look kind of bored, right? I know they're trying to look serious for the music video. They like to look like they're cool, but do they actually look cool or actually look just like standing there, like modeling? I don't have a problem with that just yet. This is the debut. I'm not gonna be punishing and judge them hard because I know the girls are trying hard. It's after all YG's choice to make this group, and they took in the girls because they think they can perform at the high standards that they are known for. Now, if that was a mid-level group with a lower budget and lower capabilities, I would say, wow, this is excellent. They did it very well. I would still talk, of course, about their expressions, but I would say, hey, that's okay. But here we're talking about YG. So to this extent, were these girls ready to debut yet? Maybe they should have taken a little more time to prepare. Well, my opinion is that releasing content is always net positive because this is a learning experience. It's similar to any sports game. No matter how much you train, how many friendly games you have, have, it's the official games that make you gain all this experience and become better and better. And I think it's same in the music industry. So it's very good that these girls get their opportunity to actually debut and start getting better and better. This was definitely a learning experience for them. The music video is very nice for what it is. It has all these traditional shots that go with this kind of song. I will say here that technically the lighting and the overall image quality is a little subpar to what we're used to see from YG. It's not as crisp and clear as you see in many Baby Monster music videos, for example, and that doesn't necessarily have to do with budget. So going slowly to the negatives, I'm gonna start talking about the actual song. Before that, let me say the instrumental is actually very nicely crafted. It has a lot of energy in there. It has just enough variations. I really like the bass and the drops. Everything I think works really well. They use the same recipe they used in Baby Monster's Butter Up. I think it's like a factory at this point. They even have this ending section that has the girls just dancing, exactly like Butter Up. That was very reminiscent of 21. Back then, I wouldn't say this reminds me of 21, but it does remind me of what Baby Monster did anyways. And now let's get to the elephant in the room, which are the lyrics. I wouldn't talk much about the vocal melody because the vocal melody of the song is pretty flat. But I'm going to talk about how the girls performed their sections, and I think they did a really good job. The rap lines are really nice. The build-up during the pre-chorus is also really nice. I really like it. In general, it's a very pleasant listen. But does it have absolutely any meaning? Does this song provide anything to humanity, let's call it? What are they even talking about? They're just talking again about how good they look, and they even start talking about money. That's disgusting. These girls just debuted. They're not cool. They're not allowed to talk about money. And I made these comments even for Baby Monster and everybody that they're just debuting. Please, for 1 or 2 years, don't mention about this stuff, that you're super cool, that you have a lot of money or you're gonna make a lot of money, this kind of stuff. I just really dislike YG's style to this matter. Here's Ella, 50 years old, talking about wons and yens and dollars. Is this really something good to put in your K-pop song? You can say, hey Jun, you're misunderstanding. They're not talking in that way. Well, it doesn't matter how the songwriter actually wrote this, it matters how people understand it. And here you have this culture of money and showing off. While it's not like Korea doesn't have these qualities in their society, but in general, they're way more humble than this. And that's why I think this still feels very weird and Americanized in some way. Of course, you can see K-pop artists flexing and everything, but we usually see this after 3-4 years of presence, after they won many first places in the shows, after everybody knows them. So maybe they can make 1 or 2 songs and say, hey, how cool I am, you cannot catch me. But here, yo, you just debuted. What are you talking about? You're not cool. No matter how many times you say and talk about it, you're not cool. And same goes for Baby Monster. So my main complaint is for this Americanized rap culture that is embedded into K-pop. Of course, this is what YG has always been. It's just the company's main style. Rapping and flexing. You can actually say if they didn't invent, they actually developed that kind of culture in Korea, which is something nice. I don't have complaint about this. But as I said again, do you use this kind of culture to the extent in debuting this brand new girl group and making them sing about the stuff in this way? Because at that high level, usually the girls have absolutely zero say about what they're gonna sing and how they're gonna act. It's just the production that tells them what to do and how to do it. So the big question is, when we have Baby Monster, do we need another group that is exactly like that? If you do that, you run into the danger that one of the groups is gonna outperform the other group, and you have 2 groups in your company competing with each other. And I don't think that's actually any healthy. Maybe YG is thinking if I have them compete, they're gonna perform better. I hope that's not the case because I really dislike that kind of thinking. You have 5 really pretty and, as it seems, quite talented girls, so why don't do something different? Put a little real meaning in the lyrics, something that people can associate with, and create some really nice songs. Let me give you an example. Cat's Eye. Look what Cat's Eye is doing. Why you don't do that? I think we need much more of that in K-pop right now, instead of these flexing concepts. So imagine you have these girls, and instead of making them talk about money and flexing in this rap style, imagine giving them a song like Cat's Eye's debut or Touch. And I keep wondering, are there really that many people that actually like this kind of music? Maybe YG misunderstands why people liked Blackpink. Was it about the flexing songs? I don't think so. They liked Blackpink because of their overall style, not just the flexing part. Blackpink had a huge discography. So as weird as it sounds, I think YG and Black Label to that extension is kind of running out of ideas here. I'm not saying you should dress up these girls like schoolgirls and go make these romantic K-pop songs. There are many other concepts that you could do. You can see how Everglow got really creative with the Zombie. Really nice choreography, really nice styling, really nice lyrics. I'm not saying these girls should do Zombie in their debut, but they could do something similar, because the debut serves as an introductory song, so it shouldn't be too deep, but I don't think this is it either. So in any case, my final verdict is that these girls were not convincing about what they were actually singing. Their expressions are just a little too relaxed. You can say, hey, they come maybe from a fashion background and that's how they're taught, or Junior, too harsh on them. Well, there are other girls much younger than them that they can do it better. So I have to say that. So maybe, just maybe, that's not their style. Maybe they're just forced to do this style, and maybe a little sweeter concept, or who knows, maybe a darker concept would work much better on them. But I don't think we're gonna wait for a long time to find out, and I'm actually excited to see Meow's next releases. I do like the girls, I have nothing against them, I just don't like what YG and Black Label is doing right now, both with them and Baby Monster. The fact is that if you go back in time and watch the debut of even what later became very big girl groups, you would find their debut might have been quite awkward actually. Go watch Les Seraphim or I, for example. What I'm saying is you wouldn't expect them to develop in the way they did, but after you saw them in different concepts and in different styles, you started loving them for different ways. So I'm hoping we have a similar situation here with Meow, and I really hope Black Label is gonna do something different with these girls than what they're doing with Baby Monster. I think we really have enough of that. So if you cannot do it, just hire people that can actually do it, that they can do something different, and they can get a little away from this Americanized influence as well. And I'm personally gonna be here and complain about it as long as companies keep releasing this kind of content. I know many producers in Korea have direct associations with America, and I also understand it's the next big market for them. I know that's the first style that Koreans, when they grow up, get introduced to, so it's natural to have this Americanized influence. And we also have, of course, so many Korean Americans that they grew up in the States, they got influenced by that style, now they're back in Korea as producers. But just because you like that, it doesn't mean your audience does. Just because you grew up in downtown New York or LA wearing all these hoodies and feeling like a gangsta, that doesn't mean that's the culture that your Korean audience and also the global audience actually wants. Maybe they want something a little more dreamy. Of course, it's their girl group, they can do whatever they like to do. I'm just saying it felt like Meow here are a bit forced to do this kind of concept. I don't think it suits them, at least to their current style. So perhaps the production can take a step back and say, okay, maybe we'll try something different this time. In other case, I do like the girls a lot, and I'm gonna be here for their next and next song as long as it takes. So I hope to see you again soon, Meow. Hopefully with a slightly different content than this.